Wow. Moonknight is the newest series on Disney Plus brought to us by Marvel Studios starring Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke. Oscar Isaac is the titular character, who is Steven or Mark. We don't know exactly what his name is at this point yet, but he's someone who, when we first meet him, he's a very awkward socially and very stumbling and bumbling type of guy. Isn't really well liked by his boss at work, and he works at a museum somewhere in London. But then as the episode goes on, we start to realize that he hears voices and that he has all these weird dreams, and he wakes up at certain periods throughout the week. Like, he'll have a dream where he runs into a certain character, and then he'll wake up about 2 days later after he was supposed to have a date with somebody else. And it's him trying to figure out what exactly is going on inside of his mind, whether he's actually dreaming or if it's actually real. Evading Ethan Hawke's character and all the other goons that he has at his disposal, and getting a call from a certain woman who's been apparently trying to reach him for months or maybe even years. Just when Marvel couldn't get any more obscure with their characters than they already have, safe to say that it just got amplified, because the only reference that I have for this character is in the Spider-Man Web of Shadows video game. That's it. I don't know anything about this guy or what his deal is. I purposely did not look up his biography online because I wanted to have as much of a fresh experience as I could, but naturally this taking place in the MCU, obviously I was going to give it a try, and Oscar Isaac being the titular character, I thought, ooh, there's an idea. A solid actor who's proven himself in various films like Ex Machina, Dune, Part 1, and in the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Hey, I liked him as Poe Dameron. Sue me. And then he was Apocalypse. Yeah, let's not go there. Oscar Isaac never really struck me as like this kind of guy who would be very socially awkward and bumbling. Actors are actors, so they're gonna inhabit characters that are very opposite of what they usually are meant to be. But he's really convincing as a guy who's practically tripping over his own shoelaces. Sometimes can come off as a little obnoxious to certain people and doesn't seem to get much attention from the security guard at the museum. And his accent for me sounds pretty spot on. We actually hear Oscar Isaac talk in a regular American accent. I do wonder, is this a part of his other personality? Because from what I could tell, this guy suffers from a severe dissociative identity disorder or whatever it's called. I know there's a full terminology for it. I know a little bit about it, but the thing about this episode, just from the one trailer that I've seen, it doesn't really give you a whole lot of answers to the questions that I have, like, who is this guy? What's going on? Is he really Mark, or is he really this other person? Is he Steven? Is he a god of some kind? Is Ethan Hawke some kind of evil god that's trying to hunt him down? Is he connected to possibly the Eternals? This is the first Marvel show or movie where it does feel like it's in the MCU, but there's really not that many big Easter eggs, if at all. I'm sure there's going to be various references and connections as the show goes on. This actually feels like a legitimate pilot episode, as opposed to the previous shows that came out before last year. My favorite to this day being Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm a Captain America guy, what can I tell you? But when one of the dream sequences he has, when he sees Ethan Hawke making his judgment calls with this Scales of Justice tattoo on his arm that actually moves, one guy actually passes the test and another woman fails and dies because of certain choices that they made in their lives, and I guess it's the all-powerful being that he answers to. I'm not familiar with Moonknight, so anyone out there who is, please let me know in the comments section, politely please. And then they catch wind of what he's doing, and it leads to a really insane car chase through the mountains with Wake Me Up Before You Go Go by George Michael or Wham. I'll never listen to that song the same way again, especially the Bob Dylan song that plays in the opening of the episode where Ethan Hawke puts shattered glass in his shoes and puts them on. What is this guy's deal? Seriously. What is his deal? Seeing Ethan Hawke finally dip his toe into the MCU is something that I actually never knew that I wanted to see. There's a whole lot of actors out there that I still think should be in the MCU in some way or shape or form. Ethan Hawke joining the MCU, that's a big plus for me. Just like Oscar Isaac and various other actors that have come and gone. Even when he does the Scales of Justice determination on him, all we really get is that there's chaos in you. And before a definitive sentence comes in, Steven takes off. It makes me wonder, what kind of confrontation are we going to get from this? Is it going to be very different from the other Marvel stuff? It very well could be, based on this episode and what the tone's giving off. It's setting the stage for a very different type of story, although I would not be surprised if other similar elements from the MCU are in here, because if you're in this universe, you have to follow the formula. Like it or not, as I said before, we're part of this universe, you gotta roll with it regardless. And as opposed to the other shows that came before, this is a character that we have no clue, unless you're a diehard fan, none of us know anything about him. Whereas we already know Wanda, we know Loki, we know Sam and Bucky, but we all liked those characters and we wanted to know what they were up to post-Avengers Endgame. In this case, it's a clean slate, and it makes me intrigued for what possibilities are coming in the show. And I didn't think we were actually going to see him in costume by the end of this episode. I thought that was supposed to be a much later in the show kind of reveal, kind of like when Daredevil got his traditional costume at the end of the first season. But no, they show you pretty much right away, nope, here he is in costume. And the way everything plays out, with all these hallucinations and these car chases and all these various dream sequences, it's done in a way where you can't really tell if this is real or if it's happening inside of his head. And that's probably the biggest question that I have. Is it really real or is it fake?
What is real? How do you define real?
It doesn't give us any definitive answers, but it does captivate your attention and makes you wanting more. I'm not the kind of person who needs an explanation for everything. I just hope that they give us something to go on, some kind of answer and some clarity. As the episodes go on, we'll see where it goes, but so far, I really like what I'm seeing, and I think this is potentially going to be one of the best things that's ever come out of the MCU. Those are my initial thoughts on Moon Knight. Thank you guys for watching. Comment below and tell me what your thoughts are, and I'll see you in the next one.